Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. Inter Milan, yes, it's the Milan derby with Inter edging it at the death. How do they do it? Where did Milan go wrong? Don't worry, here at the interviews, we've got you covered. So on this edition of the interviews, we're going to break down how Inter beat AC Milan. So before we get into today's video, don't forget to give our video a thumbs up if you don't enjoy it. The bell below does give you daily notifications regarding our organic/soccer footy analysis, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. In today's video, we're going to break down the first half and see why it was so cagey and why both sides struggled to create chances. Then we're going to get into how Borja Valero kind of changed the game and see how both sides look to approach the second half and try to win the game. But first, let's get to the starting lineups. We look at Milan, 4-3-3, Suso, Calhanoglu, and Higuain up front, Kessie and Bonaventura just ahead of Biglia. Then we get to Inter Milan, Icardi up front, out in the wider areas, Perisic and Politano with Nainggolan playing in the number 10 role. And then we have Vecino and Brozovic in midfield protecting the back four. So first, let's get into the first half and see why both sides struggle to create chances. When we look at Milan against Inter, both sides kind of playing similar systems. Milan with that 4-3-3, Inter with the 4-2-3-1, but so both sides kind of dropping off into more of a 4-1-4-1 without the ball. You had Vecino a bit higher on the right. You had Brozovic looking to drop off deeper there. Nainggolan pushing forward, the wide players here. You had Biglia a bit deeper for Milan. Then you had Kessie and Bonaventura out in more advanced positions. So it was a bit much of a cagey affair with both sides kind of canceling each other out. We saw Milan press Inter from the front, and what they wanted to do was ensure that they couldn't build out of the back. So how they went about that was they did have the front three kind of push off, or the wide players push off into the center backs, and then they would have when Brozovic tried to drop off deeper, they would have Higuain push out, and they'd have the shuttlers ready to step out into the wide areas if need be. Inter always kicked the ball long, so that ensured that Inter really couldn't dictate the tempo from that respect. They would have to eventually earn it as Milan sat off. And then we look at how Inter went about it. Inter's was a bit more interesting in the sense that they didn't have to go about it in the way that they did, but however, they had Icardi and they had Politano pushing out. When Biglia tried to drop off deeper, Nainggolan sat to him. And then when you think about it, you have Perisic sitting on the wider player, and they could push out the shuttler there. But Milan still weren't very interested in playing the ball out of the back, which has been one of their main themes under Gattuso this season. So that was how they went about that. And when you think about the other aspects of Milan, or what Inter were trying to do, is that they were trying to ensure that Biglia didn't get on the ball. So they have Nainggolan step to him. They'd have Icardi focus on pressing out in to the center backs, and if Nainggolan ended up joining them, you would see Brozovic step forward and ensure that he could close down Biglia as well. They didn't want Milan to play out of the back, but as the game in a whole, we look at it, a lot of it stemmed from individual battles, and you see the individual battles. Higuain and Icardi both lacking service up front. That was a given. We look out into the wide areas. Perisic often couldn't get the better of Calabria throughout the first half, and that was one of their issues as well. Politano trying to tuck in a bit narrow. Brozovic eventually grew into the game, and we'll get to that in a bit, but for the opening stages, they were trying to ensure that he didn't get on the ball. They would have Higuain kind of cut off the passing lane. They could have pushed Kessie out to him, but Milan kind of stuck to what they do. If the ball is out to the left and Higuain's pressing, then they'd have Kessie push forward and have Bonaventura kind of slide in, and vice versa. If the ball's out to the right, you'd have Bonaventura try to press out that way, and then have Kessie slide into Brozovic. But they weren't really doing a man-marking job on him, and eventually that would be an issue. And then out in the wide areas for Milan, they try to switch the ball out to Suso because Asamoah did struggle throughout, but however, he wasn't able to really influence the game, trying to cut in, trying to last shots on goal, often lashing them wide. One time he combined with Kessie following a Higuain switch, and Kessie fired a shot over the net. Same thing with Calhanoglu, ball switched over out to him. He's able to cut in but fire a shot over the net as well. Milan really struggled. The game was very cagey, but a lot of it changed once Nainggolan was forced to leave the game following two crunching tackles with Biglia. So let's get to see how Inter were able to kind of push a bit forward in the second half. But the final point that I want to make before we get to that was that they did have one chance, and it stemmed from a pullback where Versalco wasn't closed down. He was able to clip across into the box to the front post for Perisic, who nodded up his effort on goal, but Donnarumma pushed it over the net. But like I said, it was a very cagey match until Nainggolan left the game. So let's get to how Borja Valero ended up pushing some attacking intent into Inter towards the end of the first half. So beside the corner kick that De Vrij nodded off the crossbar, which saw Perisic rise above Calabria to guide the ball into his path, we saw Valero offer something different than Nainggolan, where he was looking to drop into these pockets of spaces to get onto the ball. He offers more guile, more creativity. He's more of a crafty footballer. So when we think about that, you have to look at how he ended up influencing the game. And there's two moments in the first half that really sum up what he was doing that Nainggolan wasn't doing. We look at one instance. This is once Milan is kind of dropping off a bit more narrow into their 4-1-4-1. We end up seeing, obviously we have Vecino a bit higher. You have Brozovic dropping off. He's able to clip the ball into the path of Vecino, and he sees Vecino in between or just in behind Çalhanoğlu and to the left of Bilia. He nods the ball into the path of Politano. Now Politano is able to run at his marker, and what he's able to locate is that he has Kessie, who is in that position, and Bilia. And what happens there is as he cuts in, he pokes the ball between those two for Valero. At this point, what does Valero do? Well, you have Musacchio and Romagnoli on Icardi. What happens here is that Musacchio instantly presses. So as he presses, that leaves space for Icardi to run off Romagnoli. The ball is poked in, but Romagnoli tracks it well, and he's able to block Icardi's shot. But again, just something different. A player looking to find the ball between the lines, looking to play that final penetrative pass and provide some service for Icardi, and that almost led to a goal. We look at another opportunity again, where what happens here is that we have Brozovic again deeper. Kessie this time tries to step to him, and we have Kessie more in his natural position there. So he tries to step to him. What happens is that Valero drops into the space here to pick up the ball. No one really steps to him until Bilias notices it late. Ball's poked out to him. What happens now is that he quickly shifts it to Perisic. Perisic picks up the ball, not closed down quickly enough by Calabria. He switches the ball to the edge of the box for Vecino. Vecino skies his effort over the net. But again, we look at those two instances. We weren't getting that from Nainggolan, who was looking to destroy and shut down Bilia, but not really finding balls between the lines, not really finding it in pockets of spaces like Valero did. So we have to look at Valero, because going into the second half, him and Brozovic did play a key role as Brozovic got more space, as Valero was able to find out those pockets. So let's get into the second half and see how this game unfolded. And then when we get to the second half, the pattern of the game doesn't really change. Both sides still looking to close each other down, but we saw a bit more from Milan. They had Bonaventura pushing forward and looking to kind of break into the box whenever he could. He didn't really offer much in terms of forcing Handanovic into any crazy saves, but it was an improvement. We also saw the combinations down the left-hand side. But first, we'll get to one opportunity where it was Rodriguez playing a bit higher, and they switched it out to him. Politano doesn't track it. What happens here is that he locates Bonaventura picking up the ball in that space. He picks the ball up in that space, but what happens here is that Brozovic is able now to come across, and he harries him, and then you have Vecino stepping in to win the tackle and win the ball. They were a bit deeper with Milan, looking to push a bit forward. They were making a difference. Bonaventura also received the ball later on, tried to poke it in between Brozovic. Brozovic stepped in. That is what we saw from Brozovic. We saw the good and the bad, some loose passes, some loose touches, but he was breaking up play, he was winning the ball, and that was key for Inter in the sense that Milan were pushing forward, trying to provide Higuain with some service, which didn't really happen. Then they also had a threat down the left-hand side with Ricardo Rodriguez in the sense that Çalhanoğlu often likes to tuck in regardless, but what happened there is that Bonaventura eventually came across, but we'll get to that in a bit. First, let's get to the other chances that Inter created, and a lot of that stems through the fact that they were able to get Valero into key positions. We look at one instance where you have Brozovic a bit deeper, and he's able to pick up the ball, and what does he locate? He locates a pass in between Suso and Bilia, and what happens there is that he's able to play that pass into him and instantly slide it to instantly slide to Perisic. We've seen this throughout, but this time he's able to get across into the box that Rodriguez clears, and it ends up falling to Kessie. But as it falls to Kessie, Brozovic is able to again dispossess him, slide it back to Perisic. The cross now for Perisic falls to Politano at the far post, but he side foots a tame effort on goal. A great opportunity for Inter to take the lead, but they wasted there. We look at another opportunity again where we just get to see the great effect of Skriniar pushing forward. This time it's between Suso and Kessie, and Valero again picks up the ball, slides it out to Perisic, who's able to run at Calabria, deliver another cross into the box. But again, we're getting Perisic to get involved into the game, and that was big. And Valero picking up the ball in between the lines, that was also pivotal. But when we look at how they both managers tried to change the game, none of the substitutions really affected the game in that regard. Keita Balde came on for Perisic, didn't really change much. We saw Cutrone eventually come out into the wider areas for Çalhanoğlu. And what happened there was that did allow the Bonaventura and Ricardo Rodriguez partnership, because whenever Milan had the ball now, it would allow them to push Cutrone a bit central, and Bonaventura was running into that space, and we saw it on 2 occasions where we saw the overlap, where they were waiting for Rodriguez. The first one delivered into the box, ends up falling to Suso, who controls it, but he only fires a tame effort on goal. The second opportunity, again, you get it into the box, you get Rodriguez making the overlap, the cross is delivered, Handanovic punches it over. They try to make more changes. Kessie ends up leaving the game for Bakayoko. Not really much of a difference. Candreva comes on for Politano, and that sees more of a direct threat out in the wider areas. But again, just both sides lacking creativity, lacking balls supply into their strikers. The winner, again, it just stems from a breakdown, and it's a really poor breakdown for a side that looked to be so organized and that looked like they at least, despite dropping off and not pushing for a winner in the final 10 to 15 minutes, needed at least a point you felt like they needed from this game. And what you have here is Cutrone doing a good job of dropping off and trying to close down Vrsaljko, who plays it into Candreva. He ends up clipping it over Rodriguez. And then what happens there is that we see the run of Vecino running into that space behind Romagnoli. So what happens there is that the ball is poked into him, Romagnoli tracks, but the cross is played first time. Icardi checks in, then checks out. Musacchio loses him, Donnarumma jumps out, and he nods his effort past the keeper. Icardi at the death. If Icardi scores, Inter most likely wins, and they continue their winning streak here in a very tight and cagey game where both sides, to be honest, really marked each other out. They really lacked quality in the final third. It was very sloppy in the start of the second half. A lot of mistakes were made, but on the edge of it, when you look at it as a whole, Inter slightly were the better side, and the result there is somewhat justified given Milan's approach, Gattuso's inability to really change the game, and just not really forcing Handanovic or the Inter backline into any real scare. But let me know what you guys think. Can Inter challenge for the title, especially given the fact that Juve dropped points this week? And what about Milan? What direction do they go? Can they keep Gattuso? Can they evolve under Gattuso? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.